I believe we are already to the draft of your business proposal. It seems like this semester is already just flying by. Today, we're actually going to be going over what all needs to be included in the draft and how to get that completed. The big thing to really just kind of envision in your head here is that this draft should be the best version that you can create of what your final business proposal will be. The grade on this is going to be a little bit lower than your final will be because it's an opportunity for you to learn and to make corrections before that final where the larger points comes into play is actually due. But this will pretty much be all that's left. Okay. So for this particular one, you are going to make corrections to the pieces that we've done already. That includes your email heading, that includes your current situation, your specific objectives, and of course, your proposed solution, along with the clear title for the idea, the implementation plan, and the cost analysis. In addition to making any corrections to those sections that I have given you feedback on, you'll also be writing your conclusion and you'll be including your two visual aids. And we'll talk about those visual aids here in just a minute. But let's first talk about the conclusion. So basically, in this conclusion, you are summarizing what you have found in the beginning. So, what you found in your current situations, a brief summary. You're talking, depending on how large your current situation is, you're talking anywhere from 2 sentences to one paragraph. Okay. And then you're going to solidify that your proposed solution truly is how you're going to solve that problem. And you're going to talk about how it overcomes the barriers, and you're going to talk about how it actually is going to get students more involved in order to increase their student success and student retention. And really, all you're doing in that portion of it is kind of and reiterating what you've already talked about and really driving home the importance of implementing your plan so that you can have that increase in student success and the increase in student retention. Okay. um, the conclusion really is, if someone were to need the quick brief synopsis of everything you talked about in a very short amount of time, that's what you're putting in that conclusion. So you don't want your conclusion to be 2 or 3 pages long. You want your conclusion to be somewhere between 1 and 3 paragraphs long, and that's it. Um, if they want more details, obviously they can go back up into the body of your proposed solution and really look at how is that actually being achieved. In the conclusion, you're simply giving me a brief synopsis of what the situation is. You're giving me a very brief overview of your solution and then driving home the point that it will overcome the barriers and it is going to increase student success and student retention. Then you want to make sure that you have updated your references. So any additional references that you've used in the previous section, you want to add that. You really shouldn't have any new references for your conclusion. If you find that you're putting new information into your conclusion, you need to stop. You need to take that information, find a home for it in the body of your business proposal. You can reiterate it or restate it in the conclusion, but you should not have any new information in the conclusion itself. Okay. All right. As a reminder, you do have to have two visual aids in your document. Now, it's really important to recognize that these visual aids do not, and I repeat, do not go at the end of your business proposal. They must appear inside the proposal where the visual aids make the most sense. So if you're giving me a visual aid that talks about some of the information that you did up in current situation, then you need to make sure that that visual aid appears in current situation where you're actually talking about it in the paragraphs. In addition to that, each visual aid must have a caption, okay? And you must use the caption tool to create it. So you're probably wondering, how do I use a caption? So once you have your visual aid in there, your chart, your graph, your table, whatever you're using, you're going to click on it, and then you're going to go to references, and then you're going to click on insert caption. Now, this can be figure, it can be a table. You're probably not using any equations, but you can use figure or table, and then you want to number it according to the order that it appears in your business proposal. So if you are using two figures or two graphs, then you want to make sure the first graph is figure one and the second graph is figure two. If you're using a graph and a table, then it would be figure one and table one. If you are using two tables, then it would be table one and table two. You can use more than two visual aids, but they do have to all have captions, no matter how many you use, and they have to be in the correct order. Okay. Now, once you do this, you want to put your caption here. You're going to do your figure. It should appear below the item, and then you're going to hit colon, and then you need to describe exactly what's happening in the chart or the table or whatever it is, and give me it should be standalone. I should be able to read just this little blurb in your caption and understand what this table is without reading all of the paragraphs above and below. But then above and below, wherever you've got that, wherever you have that data, that's where you're going to have more information. I think I left one. Yeah, here. So here's an example. So figure whatever number it is. The above chart shows the current activity rates based on a survey completed in the spring of 2024. 235 students participated in the survey. There is a clear indicator that there is a lack of participation between all student types. And so here you can see, reading this caption, it makes it very, very clear what this graph is actually about. So you want to make sure that your captions are very, very similar. It clearly explains what it is, how you got the data, whatever's appropriate for that particular one. And then in the information that actually is directly above it, that information was actually used in this paragraph. And that's why it made the most sense to put that chart right here below it. Okay. All right. So let's go back and look at our formatting requirements. So you do need to make sure that your font is correct, your spacing is correct. Again, you want single space for the entire document with 8-point after spacing. And guys, you should not have any extra enter keys. Remember, you can check by putting on this paragraph symbol, and you'll know if it's an extra because it'll have a blank line with the little paragraph symbol. You do not want that. Okay. Margin should be 1 inch on all sides. Make sure your headings are correct. Okay. So use bold for the section headings. Remember, if it's a level 1 heading, it's 14-point font. Level 2 headings are 13-point font, and level 3 headings are a 12-point font, all of which should be bold. Your chart and your graph has to be placed in the correct area. And then your chart or your graph must have a title. Let me see. It has to have a title. You have to have your axes are defined, and you do need to have a legend. Okay. Again, in order to do that, you can come over here on the side and it will allow you to add access the chart title, the grid lines if you need them, and then of course the legend. Okay, so those things need to be added in there. You can change the title by simply clicking on it. That'll allow you to change it. And you can change the data through your uh, through your you can change the style here. Oh, I know. I did double click. Okay. So there's lots of different ways that you can change all of the different elements. All you have to do is simply double click or click, and that will give you what you need. Okay. All right. So finishing off, you do need to make sure that your reference page is on its own page with a page break. I've said this many times, and yet I still continue to have to dock points for not having that page break in there. Guys, all you have to do to create a page break is go to Insert, right there, page break. Okay. Or you can go to layout and come here and put in a page break. Either way works. And then your reference page needs to be in alphabetical order, APA style. It should be references, not works cited. Make those corrections. Okay. All right, you will only need to submit one document this time instead of two. Okay, so it will only be a group submission. This is not a group and an individual submission. However, if your group says that you did not participate, you will receive a 0. So make sure that you participate in helping get everything put together. Because this one has a lot of formatting and it's really hard for you to highlight and tell me exactly what formatting you did, that's why we're doing this one only as a group submission. However, you need to make sure that you participate. I cannot stress that enough, okay? All right, so while you're waiting on me to give you feedback on the final draft so you can complete everything else, this is going to be when you will start working on your PowerPoint presentation. All right, so when we talk about that presentation, you do want to just kind of think about the fact that who are you actually talking to? Who is your primary audience and who is your secondary audience? And you want to present your proposal to that primary audience in a way that is going to persuade them to say, yes, your idea is the one that we're going to choose. Think about it like competing against the other groups in your class, and you're trying to make your presentation stand out above the others in order for them to choose yours over the other students' proposals. Okay. Please make sure that you watch the video for mini activity 2.4. That's going to be really important because it is required that you use Smart Art. If you submit your PowerPoint without Smart Art, you will get a 0. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right. As far as evaluation goes, your content is 50%, research and integration is 20%, your formatting is 15%, and your revision and updates is an additional 15%. Okay. All right, guys, I'm just excited to read these and get started on the PowerPoints. I hope you guys have a great day. And if you do have questions, please feel free to reach out and let me know. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye bye.